Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lori, and I wanted to share today about what is an update on what's going on inside Mount Shasta. I've done one video really describing Telos, what Telos is, what's happening inside Telos and inside Mount Shasta, and that was over 2 years ago, I think, 2015, somewhere around, was it 2015? I can't remember. It was probably a year and a half to 2 years ago. And so much has changed. So much has shifted inside that mountain, just like so much has shifted outside on the earth and within ourselves, right? It's the same thing with inner cities, inner earth. That's shifting just as much as we are and the outside part of the earth. So I wanted to give a brief update on what's going on inside there. Especially for those of you that aren't even aware that there might even be something going on inside Mount Shasta. So let me start by saying that Mount Shasta is the non-active volcano in Northern California. It is a vortex and a portal for really, really potent, powerful energy to come straight down into the planet. And it's been holding these frequencies and these lights for thousands of years. There are many of these portals all over the world. And their sole purpose is to literally hold down and hold in light frequencies. They hold portals within them. They hold stargates within them. And I don't mean hold as if it's like physically inside there. It is frequencies and light that are opening. And as the planet and humanity shifts into higher frequencies of light, so do these inner earths, these inner cities, these portals and stargates. The stargates become more potent. The portals become more potent. And meaning we can experience them more, we can feel more, we start journeying into higher realms of consciousness. So as we shift, we start to become aware of these higher dimensional portals and stargates inside these mountains. They've always been there, right? But we haven't been able to access them until our frequencies are raised. So as we raise our frequencies, we start to look around and say, oh my God, there's all these portals now inside these mountains. It's like, well, the portals have always been there. The stargates have always been there. The beings have always been there. We just haven't been prepared and ready to see them yet. So, and this is going to continue, right? So as we continue to raise our frequencies, increase our light quotient within our own physical form, we will start to see even more. So it's kind of exciting. It's like, wow, right now inside this mountain, inside Mount Shasta, there is so much going on. And from when I first started going in about a year ago. And so it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen a year from now? What are we going to be able to experience inside there in a year? So let me start by saying that the first thing that I experienced inside Mount Shasta was this fifth dimensional city called Telos, which is it's a Lemurian city that was created and formed, and it's not an actual physical city in the sense of, a physical space like this. It's in a higher frequency, a fifth dimensional frequency. So it vibrates in a higher frequency, so you can't see it unless you are in a higher frequency state. And so I journey in there with myself and clients in our etheric bodies. An etheric body is just light and consciousness, my mind. And I raise the frequencies within our physical form so that the etheric body can travel there. And then once you're there and once you're open to experiencing the dimensions, you can start to feel. First thing you'll do is you'll feel the energies, you'll feel the Lemurians, you'll feel that you're in this city, right? And then the more and more you get used to it, you start to see things, you start to see light. But it is not like you are moving your physical body straight into the mountain, like you're walking into a space, right? Like opening the door to the mountain and you physically walk in. It's all light, it's all frequency, it's dimensions. And so it's not an actual physical form. It is higher frequencies of light that we can't see until we shift into that higher frequency. So this city was formed. You can watch the very first video I did about it, but this city was formed as the continent was sinking. The Galactic Federation of Light let everybody know, the Lemurians know what was happening. They had plenty of time So they thought to bring in really important temples, really important rays, things that were really going to hold down the frequency of the fifth dimension as the earth moved into the third dimension and as humanity moved into the third dimension. So they already knew Lemurians were really, really spiritually evolved beings, super connected to so much above the physical form. They knew what was going to be needed. And so they did everything they could to recreate what they had on Lemuria inside this mountain. And so when we go into this mountain, we experience these beautiful Lemurians. We experience, typically I go out into the nature part of Telos, the ocean, the temples, parks, things like that. And again, it's not a super physical experience. It's an energetic experience, but you can see things and you can really, really feel. So what happened in 2018? And there are also, let me just go back for a second. There are also multi-dimensional beings that are there. So Mount Shasta is a huge stargate. There are so many different star systems that come in and out of that mountain on a regular basis. They use the mountain as a way to bring in their own frequencies and work with the earth as it's shifting, and work with their family, which is you and I, right? And so the beautiful thing about Mount Shasta, the beautiful thing about the inner part of Mount Shasta, these beautiful portals and stargates that are opened, these energy spaces that are open in there, is that you can actually go in there when your etheric body, and many of you do go in there in your dream state. Your family of light will take you in there, and you can experience them. You can feel them. You can communicate with them. You can receive messages from them. It's an easier way of communicating and working with these beings than the third dimension, because you have to understand the third dimension is dense. And so and we have a very powerful ego that will convince us that everything we're seeing, feeling, and hearing isn't right. Right? That's not true. That's not correct. So it's almost like the ego, beautifully out of protection, kind of stops things from really moving through and allowing us to experience and see and feel. So when you use your etheric body to move into portals like Mount Shasta, right? It's an open arena. It's like a playground with multidimensional beings. It's like you get to just sit in their energy fields and receive messages and feel them. Some people see them as light and things like that. There's also obviously ascended masters in there. There's angels in there. There's fairies in there. There's dolphins and there's everything. There's all kinds of bird-like creatures. I mean, you name the multidimensional being or spirit or energy, and it's in these portals all over the world. But Mount Shasta is extremely potent with this galactic star energy and Telos, because that's the mountain that Telos chose. Although the Lemurians did go into Peru and other areas around the world, Telos is the main sort of hub for the Lemurian energy. In terms of one space where they're all sort of congregating in terms of holding down frequency for us and allowing us to remember and experience them. So 2018 comes, I start bringing people into the mountain, and it's shifted, the energy shifted. So what's happening now is it's becoming less about experiencing Telos and going into the city of Telos. It's becoming much more about the stargates that are opening, literally portals that are opening inside the mountain, and our star families taking us into these portals, allowing us to see who we are, allowing us to feel who we are, I should say. It's challenging to see, feel who we are. Beginning to listen to what they want us to remember, what they want us to know. It's like a direct sort of line of communication when you go in there, and it's potent. It's really, really powerful, and it's not magical. It's not. There's no technique. You don't have to be a certain way. You don't have to have meditated for a certain amount of time. The portals inside Mount Shasta, including Telos and all of the stargates and star beings that are in there, they will call you. So when you start to feel like there's something that's calling me to Mount Shasta, there's something that's calling me to go into Telos, there's something that's calling me to go into these portals, It's your higher self and the star beings, your family of light, that's calling you in to remind you it's time. Hello, it's time, right? It's time. And so getting your mind, stop trying to kind of conceptualize with your mind, well, what does this all mean going into a mountain? And it's like, forget that. Just go into the feeling of it, right? There's a feeling of connecting, remembering, aligning, expanding. And so what's happening inside the mountain is they're bringing you in. They're bringing so many of us in at night, so many of us in at night. And they're doing work on our physical bodies. Because what we don't understand is, because we're cute humans, the amount of light that is coming in since 2018, only a month ago, is so potent for so many of us. Potent meaning palpable almost, right? It's so intense that the physical body is having a really difficult time assimilating it. So a lot of us are getting sick. A lot of us are having really strange physical ailments. A lot of us are having major emotional purges. But it's happening kind of fast. So what you'll notice is like you experience it and then it's gone one day later, right? Or you'll experience it for like 3 days intensely and then you're back to normal, right? So it's not necessarily these long bouts of it, but it's your physical body trying to assimilate, which I did a video earlier on this a couple weeks ago about the assimilation of the light. What the star beings, what your family of light is doing behind your back, sort of, always working with your higher self. Never violating that free will, but your higher self is allowing them to take you in your dream state, which is when your ego and mind are most quiet, and working out sort of some of the kinks, helping this light move through. Which what they'll do is it's almost like they begin to kind of dissolve some of the really heavy blocks in you, like energetic blocks. So they'll start to kind of work through those for you. You can just imagine that you're laying somewhere. I mean, some of you have probably experienced this. Some of you are probably remembering right now as you're listening to this, oh my God, I remember that dream I had. I was laying somewhere. A lot of times they'll take you out in nature, just because in nature, human beings are more relaxed and they're more connected. Maybe you're in a room full of crystals, right? Or these beautiful temples. It's always nice. It's always warm. It's always cozy, homey feeling. It's never a cold sort of setting that they're bringing you in. Maybe it's a ship. Maybe if you remember being in ships, you're getting some beautiful work done on you. And I've gone into the portal inside Mount Shasta, and they've taken clients and myself to their ships to remind us and to show us. And they always say when they take us to their ships, like, you have been here before. You have been here many, many times, many, many times. So just know that if you have those dreams, they're real. You're actually going there. But a lot of it is to assimilate the light. And especially in 2018, there is a huge amount of assistance by these beings of light that are kind of moving these dense, you can look at it, you can think of it like a tennis ball or something, but it's dark because it's just so much we're just holding. And so they're helping through light, move it through very beautifully, very peacefully, easily. So they're not just taking it and pushing it through, because if they were to take the whole thing and just push it through, it could cause a lot of distress in your life, right? You're used to these things. We're used to all these things inside our physical form. We're used to our addictions. We're used to our fears. We're used to our resistances. We're used to our limiting beliefs. We're used to these paradigms that are absurd. We're used to all this. So even though we don't want it, we're used to it. So if they were to just push it through, it would cause a lot of chaos and kind of distress within your own world. So they do it very gently and very beautifully. But that's happening inside the mountain more and more. So it's kind of interesting that it's kind of shifting less into really moving into experiencing telos. And now it's more about experiencing, you still go into telos, you still go into this large room and you meet the Lemurians, beautiful, beautiful Lemurians. And depending upon your path, depending upon what your higher self wants you to experience, you may go into telos. But 90% of the individuals right now are receiving that Telothian energy, the Lemurian energy, but they're moving out into other portals with star families. Because that's where we're evolving to. We're shifting into this remembrance that it's not just the Lemurian lifetimes, right? It's way beyond that. It's like, sure, you lived on Lemuria, right? Thousands, millions of us did. That's just one step. That's like, okay, that's happened and this is happening, right? Our star families are here. We came from actually way up here. So this is just like a stepping stone, kind of like, oh, okay, great. This is awesome. I landed here, but I'm actually here. And beyond that is source, right? So yeah, you came from a system of light or maybe another planetary system, but you actually came way over here that you can't even see, right? Source. And that's the other beautiful thing about going into the mountain is you get that big perspective. And a lot of you volunteered from the Lemurian continent, which is extremely important because that's why you have such a strong pulling to Lemuria. Because when you came down from either the source, you might have come straight from source or straight from a star system, right? Or a planet, another planetary system around, like Venus or Saturn or wherever. But which is just a system of light as well. We just call them planets. They're just systems of light. You may have came straight down to the Lemurian continent to just play around and be a part of this experience. And then you actually volunteered once the continent was going to sink. That's when you decided to volunteer, meaning there was you had choices what you were going to do. Did you want to go, when the continent sunk, your consciousness, your light, you're a highly evolved being, you have choice. So do you want to go back to your system of light? Do you want to go back to source? Do you want to go experience something else? Or do you want to sync with the continent and either volunteer as a light worker to assist the planet and humanity to shift back into the frequency that you were at? Or do you want to just go in and start experiencing life in a very third dimensional form? And what's that all about? It's that simple. It's that there's no right or wrong. There's no positive or negative. There's no fear or love to it. It's just choice. What do I want to do as spirit? And so many of you that are really, really drawn to Lemuria, really drawn to going into Telos maybe, it's very possible that you came down straight to Lemuria and then volunteered from that point forward. And so you're really connected to your Lemurian roots. And the other really, really important piece, I hope you guys have listened to this to the end. The other really important piece is what you did on Lemuria is within you. So the gifts that you had on Lemuria are within you. And so what's happening as you wake up is that you are beginning to remember these gifts inside of you as the Lemurian that you were. And that's another important reason why people are going back and remembering their Lemurian heritage, because they are stepping back into who they were when they were on Lemuria. So you'll start to have visions, you'll start to have memories, you'll start to just remember. And the purpose of that is so that you can begin to tap into what's within you, the gifts that you had then. They're starting to pop up now. So that's a tangent, and I want to not go into that tangent right now, but actually I think that's a really important video I'm going to do, because I think there's millions of you guys, of us, that are waking up to that. So anyways, that's what's happening inside the mountain. It's pretty powerful, it's pretty potent, and I am doing another group journey. So I did a group journey last month in January, and I'm doing another one in February. I'm doing a group journey, 90-minute journey inside the mountain. And this journey is on February 23rd. It's $49. The link is below, so you can click the link below and you can register for it. It's going to be on Zoom, which is just like Skype, and it's also recorded. This journey is going to be a little bit different than the last journey we did. What they've been telling me about this journey, it could totally shift depending upon all the group that comes together. But right now, what I am hearing from them inside is that this journey is going to be about really sitting with yourself and remembering. So really being held, being loved, being nurtured, being honored, and just sitting with who you are. And and remembering, deeply, deeply remembering who you are, and kind of really letting it soak in. So when you come back out of the journey, you really are holding more of that aspect of you. So that's kind of where I think it's going to go. You'll be surrounded by beings of light, most likely, pretty sure your family of light. You'll be surrounded by Lemurians and any ascended masters that are going to become, or angels, or any other being, fairy or gnome or anything like that. Dragons are there, they come. So anyways, that's February 23rd. It's at 1 p.m. Pacific. $49. The link is below. I would love to have you join me. If there's anybody that you would think that would love to go in, this is for anyone that's experienced Telos before, either in their own one-on-one journey or in the group journey, or for those that have never done it before. It's for anyone. It's just an opening for us to go in as a group and experience it. And I'll be doing these monthly. So if you can't make this one, I'm going to be doing it in March. And I'm doing them at different times. So last month it was 11. This month it's at 1 p.m. Pacific. If you have any questions, you can email me. My email's below. Anyways, my loves, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to share everything that's happening within and around this beautiful mountain. And I also do individual journeys on the mountain. So if you're interested in that, you can email me. We go into the mountain in our etheric bodies, but actually on the physical mountain of Mount Shasta. They're really powerful. So if you want to do that, you can reach me down below. All right, stay strong, stay open, stay loving to yourself. Remember, it's all perfect and divine. And remember, you're supported. You've got beings of light around you, your family of light around you, holding you, loving you, supporting you. You are not doing this alone. You are not doing this alone. All right, I will talk to you guys very soon. All my love. Take care.